The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who's just feeling a little bit out of time. Welcome, Jacob.
Sometimes I do. Why, thank you. Let me introduce a co-host. A man who... Didn't I watch this movie already?
Does feel like it, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Except there's different people in this.
True. Welcome, Drew.
Yeah, I have been getting this weird deja vu feeling. Thank goodness this isn't The Matrix, or that means they would have changed something.
Yeah.
Except this was technically first.
True.
And the one we're thinking of came out, 5 years later?
Roughly 5 years.
So, yeah. Tonight we're going to be reviewing Ultimate Avengers, the movie, which bears a bit of a resemblance to Marvel's The Avengers. The first one from the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's based on literally the same story, which I did not realize until I was doing some research.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's what we're going to be reviewing tonight. So, Jacob, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Did work. What did I do this weekend? Oh, yeah, I went to a banquet. That was fun.
You mean the Christmas in August?
Yes, that banquet.
Yes.
Kind of a banquet.
Kind of a Christmas party?
Christmas preview party.
Well, that's the thing. Every other department has their Christmas party in December.
Yeah.
During Christmas. We're too busy to have Christmas party then. That's why we have ours in August.
True.
Which was for the tech crew and the worship team and
choir
and all that. All us knuckleheads.
Right.
Who are too busy during the rest of the year to actually have our own Christmas party outside of the one in August.
Mm.
They had good barbecue.
They have a very good barbecue. Extremely agreed. Work has been work. I had to do some banking earlier. That's always fun.
Yeah.
I think lesson learned in a lot of ways with me. Because you live and learn. You don't get depends.
No, you get loves.
Yeah. Definitely not loves. No.
You're a little big for that.
Yeah, a little bit. That's why I said depends.
Yeah, but that's
either way.
Moving on.
How are you, Drew?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been an interesting week. I too went to that Christmas in August, and pretty much had a nice little relaxing weekend.
That's good.
So I do have another question for you though.
What have you been watching?
What have I been watching? For some of our listeners have noticed that we reacted to Dragon Ball Superheroes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That released yesterday.
Good. So before that, we went. I was like, I haven't seen the Broly movie, the super version.
Right.
And Drew was kind enough to let me borrow it. And so I watched it prior to on that Friday because we reviewed it on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it prior to going and doing the reaction for Superhero. And
I rewatched it because I hadn't seen it since I saw it in a theater.
Yeah, and you're completely right. Be like, it's got good story build up.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a different approach than the traditional Broly movie does. It's not. Spoiler for the original Dragon Ball Z Broly film.
That would be Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan.
Yeah. Along
with the Return of Broly and Bio Broly, I think is the name of all three of those.
Right.
Of which only the first one is worth watching.
Right. I agree with you. Where I think it was originally because Broly would get mad because he would hear Kakarot or Goku cry when they were little and he couldn't sleep. Yes. And so now, like, anytime he hears Goku talk, like, he just goes berserk.
Which is just weird.
That was weird. Now, in this one, they actually made it more, like, they flesh out the mythology and all that good stuff. And
well, what they did is like every little extra thing that Akira Toriyama did after Z finished, that actually made explanations involving like the Saiyans and such. they included, because there actually is a manga that is canon called Dragon Ball Minus that actually shows Akira Toriyama's version of essentially Bardock, the father of Goku. The other time they've showed, the Saiyan planet actually getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Except this time, they actually had I think, a better, well-written thing, even though, anyway, it's beside the point. But yeah, that chapter is included in the manga collection for Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman, which is also Dragon Ball, even though you wouldn't know it by that name.
Interesting.
Because it was intentionally not tied to that until like the last chapter. But anyway.
Yeah, so we did that. We reacted to Dragon Ball Superhero. That was interesting. Go and check out our reaction on that. It was definitely a different style of Dragon Ball movie.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I was having a conversation with a fellow coworker where I work at, and we were talking about animation, and anime got brought up.
As it does.
And she doesn't even like animation. She just likes to be like, if it's real, I like it. If it's cartoons, I don't like it.
I understand that outside, even though it does limit you out of some good stuff.
Agreed. She went on to say that anime was just weird. I don't get it. It's weird.
I can maybe see that.
I agree. And I think her boyfriend just recently, it came to a revelation that her boyfriend likes anime. He's like, oh, you're just weird. I don't get it.
Well, if you don't get it, look into it. Maybe you will find something you like. It is still entertainment.
Yeah, agreed.
But anyway.
Right. And also I mentioned I have two friends who are very much otakus.
Right.
So yeah, that is basically all I've been watching. How about you?
Well, along with Broly, because I rewatched that, and of course, Superhero. When I went over to Chase's, because you took a 4th week off in a row.
Yeah, I was a little tired.
You've been a little tired a lot recently. We had a new person there.
Really?
And apparently he's not watched a lot of anime. And so, of course, he got shown he got a crash course.
Oh, fun.
So we started him off with the first episode of Konosuba, which is the least funny episode of Konosuba. It's where it's still trying to be serious.
Poor soul.
Yes. And then first episode of Trigun.
And
then the first episode of Ghost in the Shell standalone complex.
Oh.
So yeah, that's what you missed. But then also, of course, I watched another episode of Ultra Q about a giant spider in a mansion. That was interesting. And then I apparently did not realize that it was easy for me now to watch Power Rangers.
Okay. Like
new episodes of Power Rangers. Because I hadn't watched any of the stuff I didn't realize they were on Netflix.
Okay.
Basically. I knew some of them were on Netflix, but for whatever reason, I just hadn't looked into it. So I have started watching through Power Rangers Dino Fury, the current series.
Right.
That is actually a pretty good show. It is cheesy, like you would expect of Power Rangers, but it's actually good cheese. It's actually well thought out plot lines. I say that like there's not been well thought out plot lines in Power Rangers before. There have been lots, but there's also been a lot of this was made to sell toys kind of thought process behind it too.
Right.
But yeah, I actually enjoyed the first 2 episodes of that I've seen. I think it's done very well. I'll probably finish it. I understand there is some cameos coming up, both from past heroes and one past villain that definitely was not in the Sentai that this is adapted from.
Right.
A little impossible for him to be in the Sentai since he wasn't created for the Sentai.
Right.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Interesting.
Other than that, I was watching something else. Did I talk about Devil's a Part-Timer last week?
Yes, you did. You did.
Okay, then I won't bring that up again outside of that.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's it that I have watched this week. So Jacob, what do we got in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Dealit. And starting off, I'm just gonna say, apparently Warner Brothers is laying the axe firm in a lot of projects.
They have lost their ever-loving minds.
Yeah, agreed.
So, in general, before you get into the specifics,
Okay,
especially related to animation, HBO Max, well, about a year ago, Warner Brothers and Discovery merged, Discovery Communications. And they kind of been leaving everything alone, but you had HBO Max that was doing all of Warner Brothers stuff. And then Discovery had Discovery Plus, which was handling all the Discovery stuff. So, of course, at some point, in order to reduce redundancies, they were going to have to merge the two services at some point. Granted, Disney never did that with Hulu for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But this is how Warner Brothers and Discovery are handling this, is they're trying to merge the two services. And apparently, along with that, they are doing a lot of cost-cutting measures across the board, making it to where stuff that you can only watch on HBO Max is no longer available, and they've scrubbed a lot of social media clean of any mention of these things. Wow. Almost like they're trying to erase history about these shows. But continue on, because I'm assuming gonna mention a couple of these.
Well, there's the first one that got the axe early on. I think it was Batgirl.
Yes,
Batgirl
that
got
movie.
It's a live action film that was going to go to HBO Max.
It was going to have Michael Keaton return as Batman.
Yeah, and Ben Affleck as Batman.
And they had gotten permission from Danny Elfman to reuse the original music.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And it was 95% done?
Yeah. Yeah, it had some rewrites, maybe a little bit more than normal, and maybe there's a slight chance it might have been, Catwoman in quality, but we'll now never know.
You never know.
At the moment, we'll now never know.
Yeah, exactly. But just like, oh my gosh. And then it just got worse. They scrapped the
every day it was like, what new thing has been shot in the head?
True. they scrapped the Scoob sequel,
yes,
which was going to HBO Max. I just recently through the research, that's just it, it's just they scrapped Batman Cape Crusader, which was being helmed by Bruce Timm and J.J. Abrams.
That was a big thing people were looking forward to some degree. Long as JJ only made one movie and didn't try to make two. It's like I've always said, J.J. Abrams is good at asking questions. He's horrible at answering them. But anyway.
But yeah, there's been a ton of scrappage on
a lot of Cartoon Network shows that, because of the strange way the rights are handled, they cannot be streamed at this point.
Yeah. Which is weird.
Yeah. One of them is apparently something that I think it's called Infinity Train.
Yeah.
That was critically acclaimed.
Really?
Everyone in there was clamoring for this thing. I hadn't heard of it because I haven't been keeping up with Cartoon Network shows myself, and it's not come up on our show.
Yeah.
So I heard about this. It's like, oh, this show is gone? That might have been interesting. I don't know anything about it. But still, even if it was complete dog poo, I still don't see why you delete this stuff from existence. I mean, to some degree, I understand the reasoning behind Batgirl, because it's some kind of insurance deal. Like, if they can't release it, their insurance money kicks in. They get some money back to make up that.
Yeah.
Which sucks, by the way, but I at least get it. But why delete stuff that's already going on that they could air on the network?
Yeah.
Why is that getting deleted? Why is stuff that's just back catalog stuff just like, okay, we're deleting that? I don't understand that part at all. Anyway,
It's weird. It's weird.
even if it is complete garbage. Of course, I'm the guy who says they ought to release the Star Wars Holiday Special on Disney Plus and just be done with it, because I have I don't believe I believe you should own up to your garbage. And besides, they put the Ewok movies out there. You can put out the holiday special in that instance.
Agreed.
But anyway, what other news we got?
1 second.
Delit.
Yeah, apparently Paramount Plus is actually doing a series of movies that is based off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, I mean, they're always doing that.
Yeah, I think they're doing, these are going to focus on the villains, which could be interesting.
The fact that they actually put the names Eastman and Laird in the title,
yeah,
makes me think, oh, are we basing this on the actual comic books? Like adapting those stories instead of, making new stories that are kind of sort of based on
right,
it, but it's still kid shows.
Yeah.
Is this going to be some gritty Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff from like the 80s, but made into animation?
Right.
I have no idea.
Right.
It'd be cool if it was.
That would be interesting. Other than that, let's get back to the top of it.
Nickelodeon, get some guts and do that.
True. So Scooby-Doo is coming out with a new movie.
Okay.
Unlike Scoob, that got scrapped.
Yeah, that was we liked that movie, I think, but it was not as good as some others.
I would agree. I completely agree. I had some problems with that film as well. So Scooby-Doo, or Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, will be on digital on November 4th and DVD on October 18th. Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo will be available to own on digital for $14.99 or on a DVD, which for some reason it's not going to Blu-ray, which is weird.
Kids stuff sells better on DVD than Blu-ray.
That is true.
Parents are more likely to buy a $10 DVD than a $20 Blu-ray of the same film.
Right. For $19.98.
And kids don't complain about poor quality.
True.
Anyway.
All right. So another Blu-ray DVD release is coming out fairly shortly. It's a movie we just reviewed. Super Pets. DC League of Super Pets will be available on premium digital ownership at home on August 25th, on August 23rd, at a price of $24.99 for a 48-hour rental. That is a lot of money for a rental.
Yeah.
Let's see. The film will also be available for 4K UHD, Blu-ray, and DVD on October 4th and on Movies Anywhere. So going back to another film we just talked about it a minute ago, we reacted to, so go check that out. Dragon Ball Superhero. It's killing it in theaters right now.
Yeah.
For what is it, a 3-day release? A 3-week?
It's a quick release.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how long, but yeah, well, this is really the first wide release anime since Disney quit putting out the Ghibli stuff.
Agreed.
Over here. So yeah, I mean, of course it's doing great. It's like, oh, look, this super popular franchise that people our age watched when we were kids is having a movie in a theater. Let's go watch it.
Yeah. So according to according to the distributor, the feature has brought over $20.1 million to the domestic box office in its opening weekend, with 3,230 locations available. The new Dragon Ball performed strongly against Universal's Idris Elba Man Against Lion thriller Beast, which made over $11.7 million in the first 3 days in 370 that many theaters.
A ton of theaters.
A lot of theaters. So yeah, a Dragon Ball movie is doing very well here in America.
It's almost like if it's actually based on the actual manga and not trying to make a random martial arts film that happens to include Dragon Ball elements that you might actually do well. Isn't that amazing?
Who
Fox. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's all I have for info and stuff.
I will say this one last thing before we move on about the HBO debacle.
Yeah.
Someone pointed out to me earlier today on Facebook that said, suddenly the plot of Space Jam: A New Legacy about an AI who hates cartoon characters doesn't seem out of place now. It seems oddly prophetic. Anyway,
kind of agree there.
Let's go ahead and move on to the spoiler-free section of our review of Ultimate Avengers, the movie.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
This is my first viewing, and I will admit that a lot of the reason this got put on the list originally, because this was put on before our last Marvel movie that we put on there, I put it on the list because I noted that we had done a lot of DC movies, but we hadn't done as many Marvel movies.
Right.
And I felt to some degree we needed to rectify that. The problem was I had no idea what good Marvel movies there were. So I did a quick Google search and found, the Marvel animated universe, as based on the Ultimate line, is very well received. Well, let's go ahead and go with the first one and see where that goes.
All right.
And that's where we started here with Ultimate Avengers, the movie. And this is the first time I've actually watched it.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that I knew most of the story kind of going into it because I'd seen Avengers, and this is a very similar story since it's based on the same comic book. I actually I enjoyed this a lot, actually. There's some things in there I didn't like, and I suspect they're the kind of things that I would not have liked about the Ultimate comics in the first place.
Right.
But, I mean, this was still a very well done, fun movie. I enjoyed it. I would actually suggest going out and finding you a copy of this.
Which is very hard right now.
Actually, you can buy this on Amazon for a pretty decent price.
Well, I was actually on Amazon before we started the broadcast. To buy it on Blu-ray now, it's unavailable. You can buy it on DVD right now.
Did you check the 8-film collection that includes these 3 films plus the rest of the universe?
No, I didn't.
Because I think that's where it's mostly being sold now.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But in the collection I bought, I'll admit, that is hard to find.
Yeah.
I think this one came from a third-party reseller, and the only reason I bought this version and not the 8-film set was because I didn't realize these films were in the 8-film set, because I could not find a listing anywhere of what films were in that set.
I gotcha.
So, yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
I'll double-check that while you're giving your spoiler-free thoughts.
Well, this is my first time watching this film. And my brother Jim, being the comic nerd he is, was like, dude, you got to watch these films. These are so good. And so I took a look at the cover. I was like, nah, I don't want to watch this. Doesn't look up my alley. So I've watched.
And then I said, hey, we're doing this movie, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. So it kind of forced me to watch something. I was like, I'm not interested. Okay, I'll watch it. So I've watched a few of I think it's part of this universe. Like Hulk versus Wolverine or Wolverine versus Hulk.
I wasn't 100% sure if those were part of this or if they were separate. I'll admit that.
Yeah, but either or. I think I've seen a few of these and they were interesting. My first viewing, it was okay. It was a pretty good film. It wasn't something that I'm gonna like, oh my gosh, I gotta rewatch this again. It's good. It's decent. I like Drew said before, it's one of those films that you watch and be like, if you watched Marvel's The Avengers film from 2009, it's like, okay, you got a lot of the same vibes from this movie. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a pretty good film. Pretty good. I'm not gonna say great, but pretty good. As Drew says, stereotypes.
Well, I'm looking this up because I want to be honest with people.
Oh, there it is.
Well, it's not currently available on Prime Video, even though the listing is there.
Yeah.
I think, this is the one I bought.
Yeah.
The 3-movie set.
And it's currently
unavailable. I may have bought the last one.
Probably
purchased. There was an 8 movie set in this.
There
universe.
is somewhere. There it is. That's 6. But either or.
I'm sure the rights on this are crazy.
Yeah. With it stuck between Lionsgate and Marvel.
Yes. Okay, 8 film complete collection is $45 on DVD.
Wow.
And $75 on Blu-ray.
Wow.
So yeah, they are really not showing these pushing these at the moment. Well, give it time. Maybe this is them slowly transitioning over to being on Disney instead of Lionsgate.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
We got at least 3 movies to start with, and we're doing the first one now.
Right. Yeah, it's an okay of a film. It's decent. It's got some good action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
all right.
Yeah.
So I guess for now, join us on the other side of the bumpers, and we'll get to spoiling these.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They are not just a podcast. They are an entire network of shows, podcasts, and YouTube videos that are designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional. There is their podcast, Com Talk. There's another podcast where they read books, allegedly. There's also another podcast where they look through the Gundam Watch. And if you like movies, just like we do, you can check out them reviewing bad movies over at the bottom shelf. So you can find all their content and more at geekdevotions.com.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Josh Adams, Ashley Ruiz, Book of Gaming.
To get your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for Ultimate Avengers, the movie. Listener discretion is advised. Ultimate Avengers, the movie, was directed by Kurt Jita, who also animated episodes of The New Batman Adventures, Superman the Animated Series, and Batman Beyond. So yeah, he's got a pretty decent pedigree.
Sounds like it.
It was also directed by Stephen E. Gordon, who did Wolverine and the X-Men, and Bob Richardson, who did Spider-Man the Animated Series. It was also written by Greg Johnson, Boyd Kirkland, and Craig Kyle. Craig Kyle, not Guile. This isn't Street Fighter.
Right.
Getting into the cast, we've got Justin Gross playing Captain America and Steve Rogers. And in the Ninja Gaiden series of games, he played Ryu Hayabusa. Greg Griffin played Janet Pym and the Wasp. And she was the voice of RC in the live-action Transformers movies.
Really?
Both the Revenge of the Fallen, is that the name of the second one? And Bumblebee.
Huh.
The 2 times she appeared.
Oh, okay.
Michael Massey played Bruce Banner. And in The Crow, he played a character named Fun Boy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've not watched The Crow. And I'm curious why the character is named Fun Boy.
I don't know. I think I've seen like little bits here and there to that film. But I keep hearing it's really good.
That's what I've heard. Fred Tatasciore was the voice of both the Hulk and Edwin Jarvis. The only one of these that's actually 2 different people when it's split. He was the voice of Solomon Grundy in Batman The Long Halloween.
Huh.
Mark Warden was the voice of Iron Man and Tony Stark. And in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, he played Alexander Roshenko, the son of Worf. Olivier D'Abo played Black Widow, aka Natalia Romanoff. Not Natasha.
Yeah, Natalia.
Natalia. That threw me.
Yeah.
And in Star Wars The Clone Wars, she played a Jedi Knight by the name of Luminara Unduli. Nan McNamara played Dr. Betty Ross. And in the 2019 Hawaii Five-0,
Yeah.
I thought that show came out sooner than earlier than 2019.
Yeah.
Anyway, she played Mara. Nolan North was the voice of Giant Man and Hank Pym. And he is most well known for playing Nathan Drake in the Uncharted video games. Andre Ware was the voice of Nick Fury, and he played Joshua Brown in Red Dead Redemption 2. David Boat was the voice of Thor, and in The Good Dinosaur, he was the voice of Bubba. I think that was one of the T-Rex dinosaur cowboys. Anyway, Jim Ward played Kleischer, and he was Captain Quark in the Ratchet and Clank games and movie. And then James Arnold Taylor was the voice of Bucky.
Really?
And he's most well known for playing Tidus in Final Fantasy X.
What was the actor's name again?
James Arnold Taylor. He's also the voice of Ratchet and Ratchet and Clank.
Really?
Yes. And Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars.
Really?
Yes. But he is the one who's got the most infamous laugh in video game history.
Yeah.
Which I may be inserting here, especially since I got to go back through and edit this manually. Anyway. Getting into the Kingdom Hearts connections. D. Bradley Baker was additional voices in this. And he was Waka in Kingdom Hearts. James Arnold Taylor, who played Bucky, was both the prince from Cinderella, or was it Snow White? It didn't say specifically. And Captain
Cinderella.
Jack Sparrow in Kingdom Hearts.
Really?
Keith Ferguson, who is additional voices here, plays Marluxia in Kingdom Hearts. Quentin Flynn, who is additional voices here, is both Axel and Lee in Kingdom Hearts. David Boat, who was Thor, is Alias and Lexius in Kingdom Hearts. And Fred Tatasciore, who is Hulk and Edward Jarvis, played Kevin and Clue in Kingdom Hearts. And if some of those names from the Kingdom Hearts did not sound familiar, keep listening to Untangling Kingdom Hearts. We will be getting to those names soon. So yeah, that's the end of the cast and crew list. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So, info and stuff. This movie has an 8.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Pretty impressive, right? IMDb. It's pretty impressive. It's available to watch on Disney Plus. Production was by Marvel Studios, distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures.
No, it wasn't.
Released on May 4th,
No,
2012. Box office.
Hang on. Slow down. I'm trying to help you here. It was not released by Walt Disney.
Am I doing the wrong movie?
Maybe. You are pulling a Paul J. Powers.
Thank you very much.
By doing Avengers and not Ultimate Avengers.
All right, let me get to the right one. You're welcome. All right, so info and stuff. IMDb, it has a 6.6 out of 10. It's available to watch somewhere.
Somewhere on the internet. Possibly illegally.
Yeah, which we
don't suggest, but you know who you are.
Production was by MLG Productions, Marvel Studios, later Marvel Animation, distributed by Lionsgate, released on February 21st, 2006. It didn't have a box office. Obviously, it's got home release.
Yes.
It had 1.5 million units for both, including Avengers 2: Rise of the Panther. They were both where in the top 10s of children's films release of that year. Its follow-up is the Invincible Iron Man. So that's all I have for info and stuff, and you're welcome, Paul.
Moving right along. Let's get into the summary. And it's a short one this week because I had to cheat to To confront an alien menace, General Fury assembles a team of superheroes led by a recently resuscitated Captain America.
Again, are we doing the same? Are we doing
It
the wrong
does sound
film?
like it.
It does.
Because here's the thing. Normally, when I look up the summary, it is borrowed from Wikipedia's plot.
Mm.
Wikipedia didn't have a plot for this. They didn't give this movie a separate page.
Yeah.
It's listed with the rest of the Marvel animated features. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll check. There's got to be a Marvel animated wiki because there's a wiki for everything. So I looked that up, and indeed there was. So I went and looked up the plot for this movie. Now, normally when I pull it from Wikipedia, that thing, when I copy and paste it over, it's about a page, maybe a page and a quarter, page and a half at most.
Right.
This was 9 pages. And I said, I am not reading this on the podcast.
9.
That is why you got the 3-sentence version.
Okay. Gotcha.
So getting into the trivia. Bucking the trend of using celebrity voices, the producers selected the cast they felt could breathe life into the characters. They wanted the audience to focus on the characters in the story, not spin the film, trying to guess who was providing each voice. I'm sorry, isn't that what all movies should be doing?
Pretty much.
But no, a lot of these rely on stunt casting, which annoys me. But moving on. The sequence of Captain America risking his life to stop a bomb is taken right from the pages of The Ultimates #1.
Mm-hmm.
The filmmakers chose to produce Ultimate Avengers in the traditional 2D cell animation process, as opposed to the current trend of computer-generated animation. Producer Craig Kyle explained that he believed that traditional animation remains a powerful medium for conveying character emotion on screen.
Mm-hmm.
In the miniseries Ultimate Comics Thor, it is revealed that the axe hammer is not restricted by the worthiness test, which explains why Hulk was able to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
However, this contradicts the film's trivia track, which states that there is a worthiness test on the hammer.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Hulk is probably innocent enough he probably could pick it up in this universe.
Maybe.
I'm just what I'm going with, but moving on. The original idea was for Captain America to appear during the first Gulf War, not World War II. Writer Mark Miller reconsidered and kept Captain America's origin as it was in order to provide richer story opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, make more sense too.
Mm-hmm. Iron Man concealing his identity is another departure from the comics. In the comics, Nick Fury wants Tony Stark to join the Avengers because he has a publicly recognized brand name, and his new Iron Man armor might be useful to S.H.I.E.L.D. Andre Ware plays Nick Fury. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, he is played by Samuel L. Jackson, who the character is obviously modeled after.
No.
Ware and Jackson appear together in Die Hard with a Vengeance in 1995.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting one.
Captain America's sweetheart in this movie is Gail Richards.
Mm-hmm.
She is based on the character that appeared in the 1940s Captain America movie serial.
Really?
Yeah. This is partially based on the Marvel comic The Ultimates. The plot is a truncated version of the first 2 story arcs in the Volume 1 series. The characters of Thor, Hulk, and General Fury are watered-down versions of the Ultimates comic book characters of the same name. Captain America, Jarvis, Wasp, Giant Man, and Iron Man in the cartoon are adapted from the Avengers comic books, as well as Iron Man, Captain America, and Tales to Astonish, published from the 1960s to the early 21st century. Which brings us to the end of trivia for this. So, Jacob, what is your first like?
My first like, it's a fun action movie. It's a fun action movie. The action in this movie is very well done. The point where Giant Man and this version of Hulk are going at it, and the point that like they don't hold punches in this, where it's literally be like Hulk just plows right in the Giant Man's knee and he collapses. Collapses from that impact. It's like, yeah, it's good action. It's a good, like, animation wise, it's good animation. It's good, let me rephrase that. It's good action animation.
Okay.
That's my number one. What's yours?
I like that this kind of feels like it's gonna sound weird, but I like that it feels like the Bruce Timm animated universe from DC. It's obviously not, because different characters and different logics, but it has the same. It feels like it has the same approach.
Got it.
Those series have, where yes, when the ridiculous stuff happens, we will show it, but we're taking a serious take on this and producing a high quality product that represents these characters the best we can produce them.
Right.
At a time when Marvel couldn't put out a movie to save its life. Because this is 2006, right?
Right.
When this came out. They were barely getting, I mean, Iron Man was just barely in production at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all the rights to the Marvel Comics films in live action were scattered to the winds for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought these characters together. Most of them are not affected by any of those rights issues, much like the early MCU. But where the MCU, I think, fails is that I don't feel like you can take kids to a lot of these movies and not feel at least a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
This I wouldn't mind a kid seeing, because I think it even approaches some of the hard stuff with in a way that kids can understand and enjoy, like the scene where Cap and Nick Fury are flying over the destroyed city,
mm-hmm.
and Cap asks, "What happened down there?" Nick, I don't remember how he said, commander, director, whatever. He says, "Did we get attacked?" And he says, that's what happens when a man gets hit by gamma radiation and survives.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about the Hulk did all that. One of our heroes destroyed an entire city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be who they have to fight at the end of this thing.
Right.
Spoiler alert, but the fact that they treated that with the gravitas something like that needed and didn't just gloss over. Because, they mentioned that he destroyed a whole city earlier in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's going to be the most they're going to bring that up, because you don't do that in shows from movies from this era, cartoons, movies from this era. And then it's like, no, they show it. They show the devastation that was wrought on by the Hulk destroying an entire city because Bruce got mad for some reason, or got emotional. And that's in a great way helps Dr. Banner and the Hulk's story arc throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
So the fact that this movie takes itself seriously, more seriously, I think, than the MCU does, while knowing that kids are in the audience and not just focusing it on the man children our age.
True.
But that's my first flight. What's yours?
Mine's gonna go along the same lines, but I do like the main character story arcs is of Steve Rogers and Dr. Bruce Banner.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, their story arcs are very well done. Be like, those are the ones you primarily get a lot more story out of. You get with Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, coming into the modern world from becoming a popsicle.
Yeah.
Or a capsicle, as I call it. That was very well done. It's, a man out of his own time, and it's done very well. I like how they do Bruce Banner's The Hulk story in this, where it's a man who's desperately he's trying to do his work, but he's trying to contain the beast, but he's so conflicted with it.
Yeah.
And
taking chances he really shouldn't be.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I like those points in the story. They're very well done, and they're good. That's my second. What's yours?
My second is the fact that we actually get Giant Man and the Wasp in this, and they even kind of do a callback to the fact that he's originally Ant-Man for like at the very beginning when they're trying to recruit him, because Ant-Man was supposed to be in Avengers.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get the movie out in time, and it took all the way to the end of Phase 2 for that movie to come out. So I like that we were able to actually get him, because Ant-Man and the Wasp were in the original 1960s Avengers comics,
right?
Some of the founding members of the Avengers. So I'm glad we actually get all of the a lot of the founding members in this. And so I enjoyed the characters, the backbiting between Nick Fury and Hank Pym. I appreciated that was in there.
Yeah.
And I thought I love the way they handled that relationship in there, and I like how Janet can kind of put both of them in their place.
Nice.
What's your third like?
My third like is going to be more the realism of the storytelling. Kind of going back to the storytelling. There's a lot of really good storytelling in this movie. The fact to be like, you look at the outfits, you look at the character designs, you take the outfits from the comic book series, and it looks like literally they just spray painted a character with a costume on. Where these are more where the MCU would take a lot of cues from, is give it more realism, give it more like, what would someone who can run really fast, what would they wear? What would a soldier wear? What would
while still giving cues back to the original comic.
Exactly.
Designs.
Just giving it a different design, just enough where it's like this design. And I am so baffled tonight. It's not even funny. But overall, be like, I like the storytelling, and I like the design of the characters to an extent. That's my third.
All right. My third like on this is it's Nick Fury. I mean, he's not Samuel L. Jackson like I'm used to,
right?
But he's got enough of that feel to him. It works to the point where I'm not worried that he's gonna say a certain word that you never want to show up. And like, I always have to think about watching because all the MCU movies, they're PG-13, which means they're allowed one. And if someone's going to say it, it's gonna be Samuel L. Jackson. But in this, I don't really worry about it. So you get that feel of Sam Jackson without the worry of him dropping an F-bomb. But it just feels like it's just handled, I think, better here in some ways. I like the way the is it Andre Ware? Is that who I said his name was? The actor, anyway, the voice actor. I like how he handled the character. Felt like he had a history, even though we don't know that history yet. And I appreciated how he was handled in this. Which is going to bring us to our dislikes.
Yes.
What's your first dislike?
My first dislike would be... Now, clarify if I'm wrong, which most of the time I am wrong.
Sometimes that happens.
True.
For the best of us.
True. So when we get to the conclusion, obviously the conclusion is between trying to calm Hulk down.
Yes.
And they're saying, oh, we won the day. But they fought the Chitauri it's Chitauri, right?
Yeah, the Chitauri.
Yeah, they fight the Chitauri for a while, and then it just segues into, Hulk raging out, and they have to stop him for, the time being. And then at the end of the movie, they're celebrating like, oh, we beat the Chitauri. Can you clarify, be like, did they actually defeat the Chitauri, or are they just simply they fought him for a while and then they fought the Hulk?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't really remember.
I don't either.
What I kind of gathered is they fought the Chitauri for a while. Hulk's out. And I think he attacked the Chitauri, and then that's the last we saw of them. Because then the rest of it is trying to keep Hulk from destroying New York.
That's one of my conflictions with this, because they're saying, be like, oh, we beat the Chitauri, be like, they're going back. It's like you'd be like, yeah, you fought them, but then you be like, the story whipped around to the Hulk shows up, and we see nothing of I think we see them fly. I remember them seeing them fly away or anything. I think they flew away. I think it's one of those moments.
It's more like they just disappeared from the story.
Yeah, pretty much.
In reality.
Yeah. So mine was just more conclusion. You beat the Chitauri, maybe not. You just wanted to put the Hulk fight in there. So yeah, that's my first dislike.
I'm gonna kind of rearrange mine, because one of mine is going to just fall right on top of yours. The Chitauri are boring villains.
To an extent, yes.
They are. Now, the Chitauri are the ultimate universe's version of the Kree.
Yeah.
The fact that the MCU technically has both, even though we haven't seen the Chitauri since Avengers in any real force.
Yeah.
is notwithstanding, but the Chitauri literally, it's like, I don't really care who any of these Chitauri are. I don't know.
They're just mindless drones.
I don't know what the Chitauri's goal is other than to be jerks to the people of the earth.
Yeah.
Sure, they helped Hydra back in the day, but I mean, maybe that's just, they just thought they were the stronger force and were more likely to win, and was just trying to, I don't know. I don't really know why the Chitauri are considered really villains, because they're not really that interesting. They felt like putties from Power Rangers.
Yeah, agree. I think there was it's a plot of they're trying to steal a satellite, or they're trying to destroy a satellite.
They're trying to destroy they tried to destroy a satellite. Actually, they did destroy the satellite.
Yeah.
Because the satellite was going to help them detect vibranium better.
Yeah.
And the vibranium, and if they could detect that, they could find where the Chitauri are hiding out on Earth.
Yeah.
So I get why they attacked, because the Chitauri don't want to be found.
Right.
Since, they are shape-shifting.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it's like, well, that's cool and all, but you didn't give me anyone to really either feel sympathetic for with the Chitauri, to hate with the Chitauri. You gave me nothing to latch on to, which is why, and this is going to kind of bump into one of my other dislikes, it's why I think the Hulk is actually the villain in this. If you're going to assign a villain role, because that's who they have to defeat to finish the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's my first is the Chitauri are boring villains.
I agree. So kind of tying in with yours, my second dislike is definitely the Hulk's conflict the entire time, or Bruce Banner's conflict. It's like, oh, I can control it. You finally learn to be like what he's actually doing. Obviously you can piece it together through what he's trying to do. But you have this point where it'd be like he busts out of the container and he talks in his Hulk form, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like maybe we're gonna get like more what they did with the Avengers in 2012. No, we don't. We just get a raging Hulk who is not. He's acting like himself. And it's like, where did you have this set up into nothing?
It's like he had control, but somewhere between when he left the lab and when he got to the battlefield, he lost control.
Yeah.
And that's never shown, because he doesn't even talk.
He just growl and growl.
He's just doing the standard Hulk smash kind of stuff, and not even that much.
Yeah.
He's just, I'm a monster. I'm going to destroy everything. Rawr.
Yeah, like even Betty Ross said at one point during the film, it's like, yeah, all he's going to do is try to kill everybody. I'm like, okay, that's a different departure.
That's an odd choice for Dr. Banner, that he wants to kill everybody.
Yeah.
The Hulk, I can kind of see him getting out of control and just doing whatever he can to protect himself.
Yeah.
And maybe he could misinterpret the Avengers for, the Avengers actions as being hurtful towards him. But they don't really show that. No. It was just like, oh, he's on the battlefield. The Hulk is loose. We got to take him down before he destroys everybody. It's like, how do you know he's going to destroy everybody?
Yeah.
And also, why is he going to destroy everybody? Because you just showed that Banner had control over the Hulk.
Yeah.
If you're going to take control of the Hulk away from Banner, you still have to show that.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
It looks more like they had the idea of it, and it's like, oh, let's just get into the big fight. And I agree with you that the Chitauri in general are a very boring, bland villain.
Mm-hmm.
And they serve basically, oh, this is what forms our team, and that's it. And it's just like, oh, we have the big fight in the end, and there seems to be no conclusion to that fight, because you have the Hulk
because
shows
the heel
up.
turned into the Hulk, and it's like, okay, the Chitauri what happened to them?
Yeah.
They're gone? Okay. That's all we need to know? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is this going to be answered in a sequel? I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's my second dislike.
My second dislike is that there is not a major villain in the terms of how I normally think of it, because when you have hero characters, which Hulk technically is a hero character,
right?
If we're being honest, yes, he's a rage-induced machine, and he's hard to keep in check because, you know, it's the whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Exactly.
So I can get behind Hulk being a antagonist.
Yeah.
And him being a roadblock that they have to stop, and something that could perhaps escalate things into a much harder way to stop. But honestly, that's not what this movie needed. That's the problem I have with that last bit, is the fact that Hulk is the villain.
Yeah.
But he's not a villain. He's not. It's not like he's fighting Loki. They're fighting Loki, or they're fighting, you know, Ultron, or shoot, they're not even fighting Electro or one of Spider-Man's villains.
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting a fellow hero character, because they didn't bother to put in an actual villain, recognizable villain that they could have easily used to lead the Chitauri. That's what Avengers does better than this.
Agreed.
Is with Loki leading the Chitauri and them being his foot soldiers. That, I think, really puts a better face on this attack, other than, oh, there's these aliens, they're attacking Earth. Well, who are they? Why do they attack Earth? We don't know. We just have to stop them. What does that mean?
Yeah.
There is no central antagonist in this film outside of the Chitauri. That's not a villain. That's a force.
Yeah.
You've got to have someone to lead that force, and you never showed who was leading this force, whose idea any of this was. You didn't even get us an enemy operative to actually get to know, so that it was actually, the fight would actually have a meaning. That's the thing. Without an actual antagonist, named antagonist, you don't really care about who wins the fight, because you know the Avengers are going to, because all of the Chitauri are red shirts.
Yeah, pretty
They're
much
the characters who get killed to show how serious the situation is without killing any of your main cast.
True.
And when your entire villain force is red shirts, that just takes out all care. And then you throw the Hulk into it because the Hulk went crazy. And it's like, okay, this feels like it should have happened before the fight.
Yeah.
With the Chitauri. That would have made more sense, but you decided he was going to be the penultimate fight. Okay. Fine. And I can't see Dr. Banner or the Hulk myself as a villain character, because ultimately Dr. Banner was just trying to get control of his situation.
Right.
Yes, he lied to Fury and essentially all of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the U.S. government, considering he didn't do any of the tests he was supposed to be doing. He was focused only on trying to, stop the Hulk, not control it.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, even if you take this film by itself, Dr. Banner and the Hulk are not really villains.
Agreed.
And that's what I don't like about that choice, is of him being the final fight. The Chitauri are the villains. There should be a Chitauri villain that we're fighting. Now, granted, I don't know the Chitauri that well. I don't know if there's someone who could have taken that role, or if you could have had somebody lead them like Avengers did, bringing Loki in there. But the Hulk being the last fight, being the villain fight, does not work for me in this instance.
Fair enough.
What's your third dislike?
My third dislike, you pinned on that one. My third, it just circled around it the entire time, so I'm going to bring it back.
Go ahead.
Full circle. Be like, we've already seen a better film, and it's called The Avengers.
I think this is a good film. Do not get me wrong, but this feels like it should have been like the pilot episode of a television show.
Agreed. Yeah,
it's not, but it should have been.
Yeah, agreed. Because there again, this is the first time watching this film. I've obviously seen The Avengers 2012.
Oh, yeah, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. Don't get me wrong. And if I would have seen this first, I would have probably be like, oh, that's a pretty good film. But when you're watching something that, like you said, be like, you have the protagonist, the antagonist of Loki, which draws in Thor, and not even mentioning Thor in this film,
and actually giving all 6 of our Avenger characters in that movie agency.
Yeah, exactly.
have it make sense as to why they finally banded together and worked together to defeat this enemy and how they were all connected into it.
Yeah.
Whereas this was like, you're all working for S.H.I.E.L.D. now. You don't really have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a there again, be like for a movie that was made in 2009, be like it's good. Six. That's what I meant. 6. Made in 2006 it is good for what it is. But when you you are constantly comparing it to the 2012 the Avengers movie,
which you have it's hard not to do that.
It is very hard not to. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, but the Avengers 2012 is a far better film story wise. There again, be like Chitauri, like you said before, are more just red shirts. They're just there to get beat up and destroyed. They're putties, pretty much.
They are putties.
There's no main antagonist that we latch onto that is like, okay, he's the baddie and our characters have to defeat him, otherwise the world's gonna end. It's just like, oh, it's a mob of villainy that has come upon the earth and is going to destroy the earth, in which there's no real evidence proven that except they destroyed a satellite.
And they were working with the Nazis in World War II.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That was
you realize like half of the American rocket program worked with the Nazis in World War II.
Yeah. True.
So what's your point?
Exactly.
People make mistakes. You could have had a decent redemption arc with the Chitauri if you would actually do something with them, or you could show how evil they really were.
Yeah.
The Chitauri have no development in this whatsoever.
Yeah.
I still don't know what the point of the Chitauri is, other than to be putties to Loki in the first Avengers movie.
Yeah. Pretty much. So yeah, that's my third dislike of this film. We got a better film in 2012 called The Avengers.
Yes. My last dislike for this is that Thor, Iron Man, and Black Widow are scenery in this movie. That's about all they're good for.
Pretty much.
And I'm sitting there going, look, I know Iron Man was not even at B level at this time in popularity.
Mm-hmm.
And Thor, he was the weirdo who just spoke in Shakespearean language. Not that he did that in this one.
No.
This one, he felt more like Aquaman in the DC movies.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that.
He felt more like that. He really would get along with Namor in the Marvel universe. And then Black Widow, yeah, she's in a lot of the movie, but she's playing Fury's secretary for most of it.
Oh yeah,
which
pretty
is
much.
Like, no, that is not Natasha Romanoff.
Yeah.
She is pardon my language, she's a badass.
I
can't think of a better term for it than that. She is a femme fatale
a literal Black Widow
turned to our side, who's working for you.
Right.
She is supposed to kick butt, take names, chew bubblegum, and she's out of bubblegum. That is who Black Widow is supposed to be. For most of this film, she is Nick Fury's secretary. Now, for everyone who's going to complain that says, well, wasn't that what she was in Iron Man 2 in the MCU? She was pretty much just playing Tony Stark's assistant. She was undercover. She's not undercover in this. She's just doing her job, which apparently is Nick Fury's secretary. In fact, I don't even think he called her Miss Romanoff for most of this.
No.
He kept calling her Natalia, which meant until she was in the Black Widow suit, I didn't realize that was Black Widow. I thought, oh, he's got a secretary. That makes sense. Somebody's got to do the administrative work while he's going around and talking down the people who were given godlike superpowers.
Right.
Nope, she's Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
it's kind of weird
background for like most of this film. Thor has, I think, 5 lines, maybe. Iron Man's got a little bit better story, but it's him being a jerk,
pretty much.
And I don't even feel bad when his secret identity gets revealed. It's like, dude, you knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know why you tried to hide it from S.H.I.E.L.D.
It was so odd. He's just like, wait a minute, this is Tony Stark, the multi-millionaire who's a freaking genius, and he can't figure out how to reset the breathing apparatus in his own suit. What has he done? He doesn't have Jarvis?
He had Jarvis. They actually went with the actual Jarvis as a human butler angle, which I liked.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That's nice to see that compared to AI Jarvis that I'm more used to because of the MCU. But I looked at this and thought, why are these characters here? You don't need them. They are not important to the story. You only brought them here because officially they're on the Avengers team. And they have more history than Giant Man and the Wasp. Yeah, they're all about the same era because they're all made in the 60s. But you talk to anybody even now and they say, who are the Avengers? What's the chance you're going to hear Ant-Man and the Wasp? People are going to know them because they've had movies. But they're not as big a name as Iron Man. I mean, when they made Avengers Endgame, they only had 6 people sign the movie at the end of it, a la Star Trek 6. And guess who was not one of them? Not Paul Rudd, and not whoever played the Wasp, whose name I can't think of right now. I apologize. They didn't get to sign it. They had the 6 original Avengers from Avengers sign it because, for the most part, this was a lot of their last movies. But it's in the MCU, especially for 2 of them. But let's face it, you're just going to know Iron Man and Thor. I think even at that time, Iron Man had a animated series. It was short at this time period, but he had one. He's the only one of these characters who I think had his own animated series before this, because he wasn't owned by somebody else. The rights weren't owned by somebody else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think they should have given Iron Man at least a little bit more gravitas. Thor, you could have left out of this film.
For how much he was just like...
For how little he actually did. He's there so Mjolnir will show up. So those of us who know the history of of Thor will go, somebody else is lifting the hammer. How is Hulk worthy? That's the whole reason he's there.
Yeah, pretty much.
And because for the rest of the film, it's not even important that he lifted the hammer.
Yeah, that entire scene.
It would have been cooler because I remember there is a scene from another comic book where I think it's Thanos who tries to pick up the hammer, but he can't. Says, well, if I can't hit you with the hammer, I'll hit the hammer with you. It's like, do that. That would be awesome. I want to see Hulk do puny God with Thor on the hammer. That's a lot better than him picking it up. Yes, I brought up Avengers again because, let's face it, that's one of the most epic moments in film history.
Agreed. Not
just Marvel, in film history. He starts monologuing. We all knew what Loki was doing. All of a sudden, Hulk picks him up and throws him around like a rag doll and walks away and goes, puny God. It's like,
thank you.
I love this. I love this. And then you get to this movie. It's like, hi, I am Thor. I work for Greenpeace. Fine.
It's like, okay.
Jane Foster has really gotten to you. I can tell. Even though she's not in this film. Anyway.
Oh my
How did I get on this little
I don't know.
tantrum? I didn't even mean to. This movie is not even worth getting into tantrum over because all these things I'm complaining about are for the most part extremely minor.
Right.
Except I just don't like how they treated 3 of my favorite characters from the MCU in this. But beside the point, I think we've reached the end of our dislikes. So we need to actually rate this movie. I'm giving it a 7.
A 7.
I think it's very well made for its time, for what it's adapting. Admittedly, I have not read the Ultimates book at all, so I don't know how good an adaptation this is. Yeah. I can only really compare it to the Avengers, and while I don't think it's as good as the Avengers by a long shot, it's a pretty decent alternate version of that movie, I think. So, yeah, I give it a 7.
I'm going to go with a 6.
Okay.
It's one of these middle of the road films. Be like, you can watch it. It's like, oh, okay. Be like, let me get on Disney Plus. Where's the Avengers? Where I can watch that.
I wish it was on Disney Plus. Wish all these films were on Disney Plus.
The Avengers.
Oh, the original Avengers. Yes.
No. I'm talking about that. Be like,
not this Avengers. The live action Avengers starring Robert Downey Jr. and
all the cast,
and Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Evans, and Mark Ruffalo,
right?
And, crap.
Yeah,
I can't think of their names. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Tom Hiddleston. Why can I remember Loki faster than I can remember Black Widow or Hawkeye? I can live with Hawkeye not being in this film, by the way, because I didn't even realize Hawkeye wasn't in it till like near the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this version just didn't have Hawkeye in the adaptation. That's fine.
All right. So
anyway,
yeah. So I'm definitely giving it a 6. It has, there again, one of these middle of the road films. It has some good animation, has some good fight scenes. It's like a very muddled story. Like, yeah, be like, oh, Captain America, like we haven't heard this story 1,000 times. But it's done well. It's kind of just meh. The third act is kind of like most of like the second and third act are kind of messes. Its conclusion is a mess. Because we don't get a solid conclusion to the Chitauri. We don't get a solid conclusion to that. We get this Hulk
or any explanation for that matter.
True. We get Hulk who be like, "Oh, I'm cured. I can talk," in the whole bit. And the next thing you know, he's raging out trying to kill everybody else. That makes no sense. And they were like, at the end of the movie, "Yay, we beat Chitauri." It's like, we didn't see you beat them. We see you somewhat beat the Hulk. Mm-hmm. That's about it. Yeah, this like the second and third act are muddled. It's just like, okay, you're a decent film. You could have done a lot better, and plus they made a better film a couple of years later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm giving this movie a 6. There's a part of me I want to give it a lesser, but meh.
Right. Next week we are reviewing
100% Wolf.
I have no idea what this is.
It's on Hulu.
I do not doubt you, but I have no idea what this is.
I've seen the trailer.
Is it about a wolf?
Kind of.
Who is 100%?
To give you a small,
if he's a werewolf, that technically makes him 50%.
No. He's a wolf, or no, he's a werewolf. It's werewolves,
and it's a bunch of 50% wolves.
Let me explain. So in the trailer, it's this boy he's got a lichen lineage. All of his ancestors are werewolves, and so it's like the year in which he becomes a werewolf, and shenanigans go on from there according to the trailer.
Okay,
so I'm like, that sounds like fun. He doesn't turn into a werewolf.
He's already a werewolf.
Or he doesn't turn into a wolf. He turns into another kind of
but that makes the movie a lie if he's not 100% wolf.
We'll figure it out when we watch it.
You can tell me like turns into like a giant pink elephant named Bing Bong?
No. Pink's close.
All right, well, we'll get back to that when we get there. But for now, we need to jump into the reviews of Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. DuckTales, woo!
Let's get dangerous.
Dragon, all sing. Dragon, come get me.
First episode tonight is Day of the Animals, directed by Tom Caulfield and written by Jace Rickey. Summary for this one is that Max, Pascal, and the other two animals, who they didn't bother to name in this, but we know as Rudiger and Hamuel, must rescue Rapunzel and the gang from being trapped forever in a magical prison.
Yeah.
Guest cast includes Jeremy Jordan as Varian, Vivian Vincer as Kiera, Ruby J as Catalina, and D. Bradley Baker as Dwayne. The horrible thief.
Yes.
And I don't mean that he's a bad thief. He's just bad at being a thief.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Dwayne appear before this episode?
I think
because
so.
I don't remember him.
I think he's either in season 1. He's obvious in season 1 or season 2. Because I remember he's brief in there. Because I remember they talk about a Dwayne.
I just did not remember this character. So I thought D. Bradley Baker did a good job.
He did. He did. Agreed.
Anyway, trivia for this. This is the only Pascal-focused episode that does have his name in the title. Of course, this is likely because the role is equally shared with the other animals in the group. In this episode, Kiera breaks the fourth wall when she asks Rapunzel, Varian, and Catalina if they see what happened to Dwayne at the end of the show. Somehow, Varian knew about Kiera and Catalina's thieving days, when the latter two stole from tons of people during the season 1 episode Big Brothers of Corona, even though the former wasn't shown when it happened. He doesn't mention that Rapunzel helped him steal the Sundrop flower from the Royal Vault during the season 1 episode The Alchemist Returns. Varian's bag disappeared for a couple scenes after he, Rapunzel, Kiera, and Catalina are sucked into the magical shell-shaped pendant.
Yeah.
However, Varian's bag did reappear when he, Rapunzel, Kiera, and Catalina are freed from the pendant. So I guess it just went into hammer space.
Yeah.
And when Kiera, Rapunzel, Varian, and Catalina are walking, Catalina has Scully at the end of the episode.
That was funny.
I love Scully.
Yeah, Scully is funny.
It's like, I expected them to find like the remains of someone, of the person who stole it in the first place. I was not expecting her to turn him into a puppet.
Yeah, it was a bird anyway.
It was a parrot. It was the pirate's, because you saw the pirate in there too.
Yeah.
It's only like in the background, and only if you're really paying attention do you actually see it. And then she comes across the parrot, and I'm like, oh, that was what I saw. We didn't see a skeleton. We saw the pirate hat.
Yeah, so the hat.
So the hat. Because it's like very kind of like, it's there, but it's not in your face.
Yeah.
And then she pulls up the parrot skeleton. I go, ah! And then she's like, oh, this is Scully now. Where's Mulder? Sorry, I had to make the joke.
True.
He'll be in the next episode. That's where he should have showed up anyway. I like this episode. It was kind of fun. It was not like super serious, heavy, story heavy, but it was just a nice little, I wouldn't call it filler, but it was a nice reprieve from some of the other darker storylines that we've had this season so far. Yeah. But it was just kind of your filler go-to. Let's watch the animals kind of, mow Larry and Curly this thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
For reference, Max is Mo, Pascal is Larry, and Rudiger is Curly.
Yeah.
Whereas Hamuel is definitely Joe, who nobody likes.
even
Shemp did not get a representation.
Like even the fact to be like at one point where they're obviously the group is trapped in the gym or whatever this thing is called, and they're like, Pascal can do this and Maximus can do this and Ruder can do this, and be like, does anyone want to say something about the dumb bird?
No, that was the first time she said. And the last one, the one I liked was like, I noticed you didn't say anything about Hamuel. I noticed you forgot to say anything about Hamuel, and Rapunzel says, I didn't forget.
That was great.
It's like, wow, Hamuel gets no respect.
Rapunzel.
Good night. Oh, but yeah, this was just a fun episode.
It was a fun little episode. It was good to see like different characters besides Pascal or Max.
Yes.
And we get this little mismatched tag team because be like Rudiker is a cool little character, and you get all the little psychic characters to get together, and they get to save the day. And with our main characters who are trapped in a bottle, in a sense, and they have to discover which way in their the way they just pull Dwayne around like no one's business is hilarious.
Poor Dwayne, stuck up on that vulture nest, forced to eat worms.
Yeah, and trying to figure out what the so whatever that word you were trying to say earlier. Subconscious.
So subconscious, yeah.
Yes, he didn't even know what that word meant.
It's like,
I was like, poor bloke.
It's like subconscious is a tough word for a kid's show. You could have gone with "I am your conscience," and that would still. He's like, "What conscience? I don't have a conscience. What are you talking about?
Am I conscious?"
You could even made a joke where it's like he sees a cricket and he assumes it's the cricket talking to him.
Oh, that would have been great.
That would have been funny.
That would have been
because Pinocchio was in the movie.
Yeah,
as a cameo.
Yeah, and it is Disney. They can
they could have just had him see a cricket and assume the cricket was talking. That would have been funny.
Yes,
but that's not where they went.
Anyway,
yeah. You want to jump into the next one?
Yeah, let's jump to the next
one. Okay, next episode is Be Very Afraid, directed by Philip Pignotti and written by Jeremy Shipp. In this episode, when Corona is overcome by a new strain of rocks that induces fearful visions, Rapunzel teams up with Varian to put an end to the new threat. Guest cast includes Jeremy Jordan as Varian, Jonathan Banks as Quirin, Jennifer Veal as Enchanted Girl, Richard Kind as Monty, Vivian Venser as Kiera, Ruby J as Catalina, Suzanne Blakesley as Old Lady Crowley, Peter Mancy Cole as Nigel, Steve Bloom as Attila, Charles Halford as Vlad, Keith Ferguson as additional voices, Max Mitchell as additional voices, and Chris Sonnenberg, the executive producer for this show, has a cameo as additional voices.
Really?
And I swear, if I could have found out that he was the one who was voicing Clown Spider, I would be a very happy man.
Oh my gosh.
But I couldn't find word one on who voiced Clown Spider. I really hoped it was him.
Oh my gosh. I love that design.
Even the Tangled wiki does not get into it. It just says, oh, Chris Sonnenberg, he was the executive producer. It's like, but who did he voice in this one episode? I want to know. I really hope it's Clown Spider.
Now I want to draw that character because it's a really, really well done spider design, and Lance is scared to death of him.
Well, when you think about it, we knew he was afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
From, season 2. And he's afraid of clowns. Fair enough. A lot of people are.
Yeah.
What is scarier to someone who's both afraid of spiders and clowns than to see them as one being?
Yeek.
And he's telling you to sing. Sing. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So funny story. I want to
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll get into the trivia.
Okay. So funny story. So I had a friend years ago. She worked at Birch Road for the longest time, and she would tell me like her worst fear was clowns. She was scared to death of clowns.
She told her you knew one?
No, because I think this was very brave of her to do that.
Yeah.
So during the Halloween season, towards the end of the month, we're allowed to dress up as a character that isn't a scary character. And so
my technical definition.
So my friend Jill, who's probably like 5'1", 5'2", so she decided to dress up as a clown of all characters. And so she's getting ready for the day, and she looks at herself in the mirror. She scares herself. And I'd be like, I recall seeing that because I saw her and her son the other day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you dressed as a clown. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And I was like, yeah, just the whole bit would be like, a clown.
She was very good natured about it, and maybe that was a part of her facing her fears.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So continue.
Getting into the trivia. Lord Demantius, however you say this guy's name,
Demantius,
was mentioned for the first time since inhabiting the body of Vigor the Visionary during the episode Lost and Found.
Uh-huh.
The episode title is from a well-known saying to negative feelings of fright and terror. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Eek. Lance is revealed to have coulrophobia, which I believe is the fear of
public
clowns. as well as the fear of singing publicly,
Yes.
on top of his already established arachnophobia.
Mm-hmm.
He overcomes his fear of singing by the end of the episode, but his other two phobias are left up to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
When Varian and Rapunzel at Demanitus's chamber, she touches the red rocks. Rapunzel's eyes are shown in that scene instead of green. Also, her eyes are brown. But when Varian asks her to give him a lift, and when she, this is worded very weird.
It is.
Plus, when Rapunzel shows Varian a drawing of him being terrified, one of her eyes are brown. Basically, her eyes don't stay the same color, and I noticed that throughout most of the episode.
I agree with you. They were different.
I wondered if that was on purpose because of the red rocks influence, because she's sun drop. She's the embodiment of the sun drop, and her powers are essentially being threatened by the red rocks.
Possibly.
Which I keep thinking isn't that where concerts are held in Colorado?
Yeah, Red Rock.
But anyway, when Varian is at home, entering Corona to search for Rudiger, this is worded weird. He climbs. Basically, his backpack disappears a lot.
It does. There's a lot of like in these two episodes. There's a lot of appearing and disappearing objects.
Yes,
and discolored eyes.
Indeed. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because who cares about his hair disappearing? 2 bits of it. But yeah, I liked this episode.
It was a good episode.
This is one where when I read the description of it before the episode started, I thought, okay, so this is going to be, Cassandra's going to set something up that's just going to be your standard, oh no, our fears are coming to life kind of episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of is what it is. But the fact that we actually went into the whole, oh yeah, there is actually a lot of decent story that happens in here. For one thing, this is the first real character development we've had for Varian since the beginning of this season, and even that wasn't a whole lot.
True,
because he's now dealing with his fear in this episode is seeing his dad get caught up by that amber
and everybody hating him,
and the fact that the concoction that he has that's going to stop this is that same amber.
Yeah.
Assuming he can get it to the one remaining black rock.
Which was very convenient.
Very convenient that it happened to be right there. But the fact that they had to go all the way to Demantius's room, which, that was when Varian got mad. This was one of the things I found interesting. This entire episode is like, hey, Varian, when you screwed up and you got mad at Rapunzel and swore revenge on Corona for literally no good reason, this is what you missed out on. You missed seeing Demantius's room and giant device. You also got to miss out on meeting Demantius. He was a monkey, but still.
Yeah.
You got to miss out on a lot of stuff. So if you'd have just been the good guy you were supposed to be from the beginning of this thing, you wouldn't have had these problems.
True.
You done screwed up, but you know what? We do forgive you because you actually do a lot of good job, and we actually like him in this episode.
Yeah,
done very well. And I love how Rapunzel you can tell she's on edge because she's not her bubbly self, but she's trying to be.
Oh yeah,
you can kind of tell that she is facing fears at the same time, but at the same time she's kind of it reminded me a lot of the Spire episode.
Yeah.
Where she's trying
not to rip someone's head off.
To rip her head off, but she's having a hard time. And she's holding her emotions back. It's like, I'm not scared. We have a job to do, and I'm going to try and be happy about it. And the fact that I'm actually doing a good enough job that's putting Varian at ease is helpful. But I'm still gonna have to tell him, it's like, yeah, here's the thing, Varian. I have fears too. And what I'm seeing with these red rocks are showing me is the entire kingdom being destroyed. But worse than that for me personally is I'm going to lose my best friend, Cassandra.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, thank you for reminding us that you are still worried about that. Because it's been coming up a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But it's like, this really is where it felt like at home, where it's like, there is a real chance they could lose Cassandra.
Yeah.
And that little moment where they can sense each other through the rocks.
That was good.
That was very good. And it does make me wonder, despite what Enchanted Girl keeps saying. I think I know who this character is, but I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Okay.
despite what she keeps telling Cassandra, I don't think Cassandra fully believes her either, even though she will probably fall to the dark side before the end of this season and
Possibly.
need a little bit of redemption.
Yeah.
But a little more redemption than she's got right now.
Yeah.
I suspect she's going to get to the brink of almost killing Rapunzel at some
Possibly.
point.
Possibly.
I don't know. Zontiri's going to destroy everything by the end of this series. It's just, when is he going to make himself or herself known?
Mm-hmm.
Just a little tease as to what I think.
Right.
Anyway, you have anything else to add for this episode?
I enjoyed it. Be like, there again, it does deal with the fears of our characters, and I like that they be like, it does dive into more of variance fears, and I enjoy that. Definitely when we're touching home with the fears that Rapunzel's has, and the poor Rudiger. All I can say is poor Rudiger.
Oh, dude, I had a flashback to one of the last episodes we released when we were releasing these TAS episodes in separate episodes.
Mm-hmm.
One of them I literally called poor Rudiger, and this entire episode, throughout both of these episodes, I was going, poor Rudiger.
Yeah, he literally just becomes like a red statue.
Yeah, it's like, red shirts. Except I don't want them to die. We want them to not die. Well, it's not like we want the red shirts to die anyway. But
right.
Y'all better hurry because the red shirts are active. They're very active right now. But anyway,
yeah, this is a good story. This is very well done. Definitely when Lance, when they're getting ready for the talent show, and he's overcoming his fears, and he gets into his song, which is like really, really catchy little song.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a song.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like it kind of, and the idea that like it's trying to beat back the fear.
Yes.
And in real life, that's really hard. That is really hard. Definitely when you're having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
One of the other things I liked about this is when we see some of the other people's fears. Like we brought up Clown Spider because that's just a hilarious image.
Yes.
And it's done very well. But there's also a couple other things like that one handmaiden that Rapunzel tried out. Sees old lady Crowley with fairy wings.
Oh my gosh, that one.
That's interesting. And there's a couple other weird ones like let's not forget the moment when Feldspar went Super Saiyan during the song.
I forgot that part.
Because I was looking at that going, I know this is a song, and so the visuals are not literal. But did Feldspar, the shoemaker, literally just go Super Saiyan and do a Kamehameha at this wart-covered foot to put shoes on it?
Oh, gosh.
Wow. Also, kudos to Iglehart is his last name. James Monroe Iglehart, who voices Strong Lance, for his singing. He did a very good job. And I did not realize, I don't think he's really sung in the show up to this point.
It's more like he has, but it's more like background.
Yeah, it's in bit parts. It's not like really putting him out there. And so the minute he goes into that whole Figaro part, I thought, holy crap, they hired an opera singer and didn't realize it till this episode. And now they're going to give him the whole song because they have to at this point. Wow. So yeah, I will throw that out there. That was nice. You got anything besides that?
Nope, except for that face.
Yeah. Clown Spider
from this episode.
Yes.
Like it's a very well done episode, and the next episode's really good. I can't remember what the next episode after that, but I know it's really good because they continue this path down. Be like, where is Cassandra going in her revenge or whatever? Because how the
finding her destiny.
Yeah, finding her destiny, finding her power.
The fact that, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is really the first time they actually went into why Cassandra did what she did. That was not her kind of bravado-ish.
Yeah.
Not her putting up a face to face down Rapunzel.
Yeah.
this is the first time where she was honest. Like, yeah, the whole reason you did any of this was because you didn't have a destiny and you wanted one because you were tired of being second fiddle.
Yeah.
And your destiny is going to be to take out Rapunzel. Because I don't think they actually use the word kill.
Destroy.
They said destroy, which is censor safe words for kill.
Yeah.
So it's like, you actually explained where this is going to have to go in order for all this to go down the way the villain wants it to. Okay.
Yeah. I do say there was one thing, like, after watching this, because I'm watching this while I'm doing my notes, I noticed that, like, the animation style was a little different this time around. I mean, like, when it comes to, like,
we were back in the money shots from, like, the beginning of this season. The last couple episodes have been your standard animation style. Grant, we're not saying the artwork or the art styles change. It's just how the approach to the actual animation is. And this is a lot more stylistic and get you kind of stuff. It's very cinematic.
Yeah, it's very cinematic. I noticed, like, whenever, like, Cassandra, she's on the ground, she's kind of huddled over. When she picks up, it's almost like the framing in which the character picked up was. It looked a little taller, so her character looks a little taller in the shot. So I don't know if that was intentional or it's just my observation that it seemed maybe in one or two scenes Cassandra seemed a little taller. Like, what is she wearing? More stone boots now, or moon boots?
I suspect that her suit is her costume as the Moonstone avatar is slowly growing, and perhaps it got a little more stiletto-y.
Maybe that's a better word for.
She's heading towards that full Disney evil queen, kind of look. Even though we kind of hope she doesn't get there. But we only have 11 episodes left.
Wow.
Of this show. So folks, you're listening to this, and it is before October of 2022. You need to go onto our Facebook page or into the Cell Nation Facebook group and vote for our next show. Currently, Star Trek Lower Deck seasons 2 and 3 is winning, but you can also pick
Batman,
X-Men, the animated series, Neon Genesis Evangelion, or Gravity Falls.
That's right.
So if you want rather us hit one of those next, along with Star Trek Lower Deck season 2 and 3, go vote on that right now, because we are probably going to close on that before the end of September.
Yeah.
So go vote right now. But other than that, in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at ggeorge759. His Twitter at ggeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
city's trashed when you take your bow. We'll blame you then, but you're good for now. Avengers unite, 'cause we've got to hear you say, I could do this all day. I could do this all